Hello, welcome to the Snap UK. Now, this week, we're very much doing this completely like on a wing and a prayer, so we're apologising early.
It's not like we've had a year to prepare for this.
But we did have some epic wings for
We
Super
had
Bowl.
Super Bowl has been and gone. We had a great time. Paul's was so great, he still hasn't recovered.
What a heck of a hangover.
Last seen in a ditch somewhere on the...
After shitting his pants.
He was told to do a shot every time Joe Burrow took a sack. So
First half, he was fine.
Second half went bad.
Yeah.
According to Sky Sports, he did no shots in the first half.
Apparently so. But with me tonight, I have Gilo, we have Griff, we have Jim. Say hello.
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 I feel like we're a long way from you.
Yeah. I feel like I'm conducting an interview.
It's almost like we think he might have COVID, so we just stay 2 meters away.
We're at one end of the table, and John is the other end of the table with all the controls.
It's fine. I mean, I'll hold you all against this.
I was disappointed when the music stopped. He didn't just point at himself in order to signal the start of the podcast. He normally just points at me. He did nothing. He did nothing at all. I don't know if he's even recording this. I have no indication.
Don't make me look. I did just have to check.
Got inside his head there.
We've put you in charge, so don't fuck it up.
Would I ever? So anyway, let's start at the main news.
Kyler Murray.
Carson Wentz. No, the Super Bowl. So
That happened.
It happened. Nobody in our group predicted that the Rams would go all the way this year.
Not one person.
Not one person.
Not one
And I won't hear it from anyone who says they did.
You don't need to hear it from me. You
there
can
is
just listen back to our preview show.
I wouldn't listen to it. I live in the now. So
Okay, fair enough. Captain Smugwash gets the praise.
Captain Smugwash gets the praise for sticking
with the Rams all season.
Yeah, well done. They held off the Bengals. I mean, and it was right at the end. Donald came through, made Burrow just chuck it to nobody.
It just proved that the Rams did have the better players, that's what we were saying. They did have the better players.
I think their better players played better than the Bengals' better players. I don't think the Bengals' better players turned up. Like Joe Burrow had a middling game.
Joe
Mixon had an all right game.
His best thing was a trick play touchdown pass. That's not what you want.
Chase had an all right game. T. Higgins outscored him in terms of the stat box. And then when you look on the other side of it, Donald had an amazing second half. Cooper Kupp was the MVP. Probably should have been Donald if you ask me.
I don't know. We'll get into that.
Beckham, when he was on the field, he was brilliant. Stafford got over some stumbles and ended up, that last drive for the touchdown was brilliant. That no-look pass was incredible.
I think, this game would have been very different if Beckham had stayed on.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't have been as close as it was.
I agree.
Same.
And it was 23-20 in the end. We ought to point out it was winnable right up to the end by either team.
Yeah, and I think what we saw was the game tighten up because the offense, for the Rams with no Higbee, as I identified last week, and then no Beckham, made Kupp just so easy to double team. It was just really difficult, and I think it took them some time to adjust. And they tried to get the run game going, which they just struggled with. And that just made it difficult. He was going to receivers that weren't normally, part of the main game plan, and that it just paused the game and allowed the Bengals to come back into it.
Yeah.
And I think once the defense realised that this was about them winning this game because the offense didn't have the pieces they needed, that scuffle on the sideline when Donald got slapped or whatever, I still think that was the key turning point.
Well, that drive was the key turning point because the Bengals had just scored after half time. That was an amazing play. Probably shouldn't have been a touchdown. It was face mask on Jalen Ramsey. But when they intercepted Stafford straight after, then they went on that drive and could only score a field goal. And that was mainly because of Aaron Donald, who I think got 2 sacks on that drive. If the Bengals had scored a touchdown there, I think it would have been an 11-point lead. I think that would have killed them off. I don't think they would have come back from that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think after that, after only getting 3 points, the Bengals offense, I don't know, Zac Taylor seemed to go really, really conservative. And even on the last drive, they didn't run Joe Mixon at all. It was going through Pirine, who hadn't been as successful as Mixon running the ball.
The only player who could run the ball on either team the whole game was Mixon in like fits and starts. And yet every time on third down, it went to Pirine.
I think the O-line was done. So that O-line was mainly second draft, second class players on that O-line. 100%. And I think by that middle of that second half, the defense just started getting the penetration it needed to really deliver.
He could have changed
the mother load.
He could have changed the play call, and instead of like running it through the middle, he could have like passed it out to the flat. I would have liked to see them take a leaf out of the 49ers book and use Jamar Chase a little bit like they used the 49ers used Deebo Samuel. Like just get the ball in his hands and let him do something. I don't think they did that enough. He had one carry for 4 yards and only five catches for 89 yards, but I just don't think the passes to him.
I don't think the Bengals are at that stage of their evolution yet, though.
Maybe not. No.
Here's the thing: the O-line has given up 19 sacks in the postseason. Right? The previous record was 14.
They gave up like 7 in the second half.
Yeah, 6 in the second half. 1 in the first half. So 19. So you're never going to win a Super Bowl getting crushed like that. Yes, he got sacked 9 times by the Titans and won, but the Titans' offense isn't a steamroller the way the Rams is. A lot of the problem for the Bengals is that they've got to the Super Bowl with a poor head coach. I know he's got to the Super Bowl, but he did nothing to help his team in the Super Bowl. And I've maintained this all season. He's got lucky. He's landed with Joe Mixon. He's got Jamar Chase. He's picked up the best quarterback to come out of the draft in 5 years. Yeah, probably.
Probably since Andrew Luck.
Since Andrew Luck, so a fair few years. And he's got lucky. They've won a lot of games in close proximity to other teams because they also drafted the best kicker we've seen come out of the draft in years. But none of that is on Zac Taylor, and he has done nothing to make me think he's anything other than a sack candidate.
I totally agree, and I think what happened was when T. Higgins got the face mask call, they ran out of luck.
Yeah,
they completely ran out of luck.
So
after that, each play was just
Gary
3 and out,
tell me
4
why
and
we're
out.
wrong.
So
about
sometimes I'm wrong, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is on record as well. You can actually.
Paul was here and he just fell off his chair.
So sometimes I think I have a 97% success rate, something like that. But sometimes I'm wrong.
Hang on, I've just got to take a step back from my seat so I can Gary's ego can fit around the table. Hold on. Oh,
so
come on, let it breathe.
So slightly wrong. And I had Zac Taylor down to be sacked first this year, and I thought he was terrible last year.
Until he read John Gruden's outbox.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the thing is, actually, what he did was he motivated that team really well in the postseason. And I'm sure there's other leaders in the dressing room, but you can't take that away from the coach because they were 10-7 and they were nobody's favourite going into the postseason. And you can't, praise a coach for, this bit of magic, that bit of magic. But so much of it comes down to man management. It's not all to do with play calling. A lot of it is about, these are elite athletes. If you can get them to perform at their best when it matters, that's also very important. And you can't deny that the head coach is responsible for that happening. So, I have to eat a bit of humble pie on this one and say he did that. He also got the Cincinnati whole city behind them. He was out there. Nobody knew who he was, but he was out there giving game balls away. They didn't know he was in the bar, but at least he went and did it. And I think actually he probably got a lot of fans in Cincy. I think he's got 2 to 3 years.
Who's the worst coach you've seen in the last 5 years?
Urban Meyer.
Right, Urban Meyer aside, because he was terrible. The fella from the Browns there, what was his name?
Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens, right?
Oh, Hugh Jackson was pretty bad.
I reckon Hugh Jackson or Freddie Kitchens could have got just as far. That's it. Because I don't think Zac Taylor should be getting any credit.
No, I completely disagree. I agree with Gary. He's done something that just you don't just put a load of players on the field and hope for the best.
I don't think Joe Burrow's doing all his work for him.
I reckon he's doing a lot of work himself, but Gary's right. It's about motivating the team. It's about putting together a coaching team as well. That defense for the Bengals was brilliant.
Yeah. If Bruce Arians doesn't win the Super Bowl next year, then with a different quarterback, is he a shit coach?
Yeah.
Because Brady was doing his job for him.
I do believe that Bruce Arians wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without Tom Brady. So,
still,
But Bruce Arians,
Bill Belichick
Bruce
hasn't won the
Arians,
Super Bowl
Bruce-
without
Zac
Tom
Taylor
Brady.
still has
yeah,
he still has to put the game plan together.
these players, these coaches, have been good or better than good in other situations without the star player. There is nothing until Joe Burrow got there. We all thought Zac Taylor was getting sacked, right? As soon as Joe Burrow went down last year injured, we all went, "Oh, that's it. Taylor's done." Don't be swayed from that opinion. He's done nothing. It's all Joe Burrow.
But Joe Burrow was there.
Hang on, Joe Burrow doesn't play on defense, and that defense was good enough to win.
And the
that
defense
game.
has stepped up. It was good enough. I mean, did you see the players from around the NFL lighting up Eli Apple?
But he is terrible.
He is terrible.
He played well first
Cooper
half.
Kupp tried to
So-
dig him out a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, he marked me well for a while.
So the defensive coaching staff deserve credit. I
Who
don't
worked for
understand.
Zac
I
Taylor.
don't understand why Zac Taylor personally
Because
deserves
he
credit.
puts the staff together, and if you're in leadership, you're accountable for how people below you operate, and how they deliver. Some of that might be trusting them to do their job
People who micromanage
and not influencing
often
too
fail.
much.
Like there are plenty of coaches who do try to micromanage, and nothing happens good.
Yeah.
I think the best thing he can do is accept where his limitations are, but surround himself with really good people, which he seems to have done in terms of defensive coordinators. The offense, I think, it could have been better, but I think it's been good. I think sometimes they rely too much on field goals rather than touchdowns. That's an area they need to address, the offensive line we mentioned. But also, just getting the right players.
So he's not Belichick. He's not Shanahan.
Yeah,
he's not owning every part of everything that's going on. He doesn't have that kind of
The
mind.
quarterback analogy is he's a game manager, right?
Well, no, what he's doing is he is getting the best out of everybody who works for him.
I don't think
So
he's getting anything out of them. They're doing it because Joe Burrow has showed them they can win. I don't think it's anything to do with Zac Taylor.
Okay, in that case, what's Matt LaFleur doing in Green Bay?
Matt LaFleur has got Aaron Rodgers actually playing for the team.
So
But
Aaron Rodgers not doing all that.
But if Aaron Rodgers wasn't there, they wouldn't be winning, would they? We saw what it was like with Jordan Love. They were fucking
So is he
terrible.
rubbish as well?
So is
then?
he just terrible? Is it just?
I don't think you can judge.
He's
I don't
coach
think
of
you
the
can
year,
judge
isn't
Matt.
he?
Yeah, but
Because
I
a
don't
lot of
think
people
you should
have
have
this-
been,
no,
and I
a
don't
lot-
think you
a
can
lot
judge
of
Matt
people-
LaFleur yet.
Well, hang on, Matt LaFleur's had the same amount of time as Zac Taylor.
Yeah, and he's performed
And he's
better.
had 3 years with
But
a
He hasn't
Hall of
performed
Fame
better.
quarterback.
He hasn't
If
performed
you-
better because he's never been to a Super Bowl.
But
He
if-
might have
if
won the
you-
most games ever in the first three games
Sorry,
this season.
and this is getting to my point.
But it's about winning.
This
And-
is
and
getting
so-
to my point.
But
So
winning at the right time as
I
well.
walked into this room, and you were all saying the Bengals aren't going back there next year, right?
Absolutely not.
Right. So this was their one opportunity to win, and they didn't win because their coach is Zac Taylor.
No.
Yes.
Because the organisation has not made a balanced
They
enough
didn't
team.
win because their coach is Zac
They need
Taylor.
a more balanced
Completely
roster.
disagree with that.
They need
Why
a
on
more-
earth was Sammy G.P. Ryan on the field ever?
No, that's fair, but it's not just
He did
because
not
of-
have a
it's not
game
just
plan to
because of
win
Zac-
that game.
Yes, he did.
He had a game plan to not lose that game, not to win that game.
So to not lose the game would be you.
No.
win the game,
You've
right?
still got to take the game by the scruff of the neck and win it, and Zac Taylor can't do that.
It's
He
not-
is rubbish.
It's not all on Zac Taylor. There is an element of execution.
He's the
on the
reason
field
they
as well.
lost.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, they're not. He's not. The LA Rams defense is the reason that they lost.
The Bengals could have won that game if their head coach was probably 30 out of 32 other head coaches.
It was like a team that got to the Premiership 2 years too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this team was not built this year to get to the Super Bowl, but they performed at the right time. They found themselves somewhere they were never built to be yet.
Anyone
And
here
the
think
more
Zac Taylor ever wins a Super Bowl? No, of course you don't, because he's not very good.
Look, the Bengals, like when you look across the AFC, we talk about it a lot. There are some future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, it looks like, at the start of their careers. It is
AFC is
crazy.
loaded at the
Yeah.
moment.
So is Lamar Jackson ever going to win a Super Bowl?
No.
Is Baker Mayfield? Is
All right.
Trevor
Josh
Lawrence? Is Josh Allen?
Patrick Mahomes
so,
with another one.
Should we agree that winning the Super Bowl is setting the bar too high? Let me lower the bar and tell me whether you still disagree with
The
me.
Bills keep fucking up in the playoffs.
Zac
Does that mean
Taylor,
that McDermott needs
Zac
to go?
Taylor won't be the head coach of the Bengals in 3 years' time.
I think there's too much media shit that creates personas. He's a really dull guy, right? When it comes to interviews and media, Sean McVay bounces around. Sean McDermott
way more irritating.
Is everybody's like, he's a good management, gruff but fair, blah blah blah. You love Dan Quinn because he's like, come on guys, we can win a game.
Don't forget Mick McCarthy.
and Mick McCarthy,
Bastards.
But Zac Taylor looks like, just an average Joe. He hardly says anything. And so we just presume he's this useless, or you presume, and I presumed at the start of the season that he's just useless and a bit dull and doesn't really add much. But we don't know. And he got them to a Super Bowl. And a lot of these coaches you're talking about have never been to a Super Bowl, even with 2 in a row MVP Aaron Rodgers. That's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. Agreed. But
so he can't get the best out of Aaron Rodgers.
I believe he is getting the best out of Aaron Rodgers.
No, he's not, is he? Because he keeps losing to the Niners.
I believe he is getting
like
the best
a little
out of Aaron
bitch.
Rodgers.
Yeah. So every year, Aaron Rodgers has to go and look at that video saying the Niners are going to regret.
I think you're both really blinkered, and I'm really surprised that you don't agree. I'm really surprised.
I think the same thing you're accusing Matt LaFleur of, Zach, because in the second half, what happened? They got really conservative, and then what happens is your lack of an O-line exposes the fact that your playmaker is fragile.
Is Zac Taylor the GM as well? I must have missed that.
No.
I'm not accusing him of building the team. I'm just saying if you've gone conservative and then your playmaker suddenly can't move, why are you giving the ball to Samaje Perine on a 3rd and short?
It's terrible.
He's made no yards all game. He's running up against Aaron Donald, Von Miller.
I had to check that.
And he made no yards.
John's on research.
Yeah, I completely agree. Having Perine on the field at that point in time was the wrong decision. But that's not the single biggest reason that they lost it. Gary's right. The single biggest reason they lost this game was because in the second half, the Rams defense turned up.
All right. That's true. That is true. Right. That
might
like
be the biggest argument we've had in.
But it's true. But let me just draw.
Let me
draw some attention to another thing that happened in the game. That Zac Taylor, they were winning, right? The Bengals were winning on the back of a 70-odd yard touchdown pass on a face mask that wasn't given. Without that, they made fuck all yards in the second half.
Yeah,
because Zac Taylor did nothing to help his team.
He didn't have his best game. I completely agree with you there, but I don't think that's
he's
a
exhausted
for them going out and saying that Zac Taylor's the worst coach that could possibly coach in a Super Bowl.
I think the truth lies in the middle because he's not the first coach to get to the Super Bowl. And Sean McVay's done it.
Absolutely.
The sad thing is, though, that
this will be his only chance.
I think that was his chance.
But that happens, doesn't
and that's it. Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I'm not saying he's Belichick or anything.
He's not the best thing. He's not the best thing since sliced bread. He's not the worst thing since.
I just don't think you
Freddie
can
Kitchens.
say
But
he needs to get sacked.
What surprised me is you've all allowed yourselves to think he's better because they've been winning. They haven't been winning because of him. They've been winning because of Joe Burrow.
But we don't know that.
But it's true, isn't it? Look at Joe Burrow and his performances. It's true.
I don't agree with that because they had Joe Burrow for the start of last year. They weren't winning games.
They were 2-2 when he got injured.
So they lost 2 games then.
But
you
they still
you can't say it's his fault when they lose, but it's nothing to do with him when they win. You just that doesn't correlate to common sense.
So you telling me when Zac Taylor sits down and says we should do this, this, and this, Joe Burrow's taking any of it in, or is he just going, I'm just going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase, I'm just going to throw the ball to Joe Mixon? He doesn't care. They're not listening to Zac Taylor. He is redundant in that franchise.
I think when you listen to NFL players talk, they don't. Apart from Kyler Murray, they don't act like petulant children most of the time.
There's more than a few that do.
Well, there are.
Let's move on because we're not going to agree, but that's fine because that's what this is all about. I want to pick a player who has behaved like a petulant child, who has turned into a brilliant professional this season, Beckham. Odell Beckham Jr. has gone from being the full guy in the league where he couldn't get any passes off Baker Mayfield. He clearly wasn't happy in Cleveland. He was kicking up. This is not where he wanted to be. To being the consummate professional in the Rams and making all the difference when they lost their second best receiver, who's almost as good as Cooper Kupp. His stats were right the same. And there's been no drop-off. In fact, I would say he's been better than Robert Woods.
Yeah. He's in a different role.
He's a different role. He gets less yards, but he gets more touchdowns.
As right as Gary was about the Rams, I've never not believed in Beckham. I've been one of the few people that said there's still in talent there.
Tread on the tires,
and the Brown scheme didn't work for him. It was just he was in the wrong place with the wrong quarterback with the wrong offensive staff. You could say that Kevin Stefanski is a shit coach because he can't get as much out of Beckham as Sean McVay. If we go again,
I would say Kevin Stefanski is not a very good coach.
Former coach of the year.
That means nothing.
So is Garrett.
As soon as I said that argument, I kind of had that argument in my head.
When Gary mentioned something, I was about to go
here,
Garrett, Nagy.
Anyway,
Beckham always had talent. Oh, and he showed it when he was in New York. For whatever reason, it didn't come out in Cleveland. He got out of Cleveland. He went to somewhere where they've got a good offensive mind in terms of Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell, the offensive coordinator. And hey presto, suddenly it works for him. He's in a place where he's comfortable. He's got a good quarterback, a good scheme. Not being a bitch because he probably knows he's on the last chance, and he was a bit of a bitch in Cleveland. But he's on
bitch is our word of the week, by the way.
Yeah. He's on his last chance, and he needs to get a contract, and he played out of his skin for the second half of the year.
Word of the week like it's Sesame Street.
I think we should do that every week.
Yeah, word of the
Today's
week.
show was brought to you by the word bitch and the number 7.
I will bring up a slight football analogy here. Is the fact, I mean, I know it's maybe the fact it's LA, he's working with a good coach, or is it Emmanuel Adebayor used to be brilliant when he had a year left on his contract and he was on loan somewhere, and is it the fact that but he is playing for a contract?
He knew this was his last chance to put himself in the shop window to get a contract,
which he potentially won't get now,
which is a shame.
I think he'll get a 1 year
ACL, MCL,
ACL.
They'll just stick him on injured reserve with a cheap contract.
1 year prove it deal back at the Rams.
Well, he won't play for 9 months, will he? So
he'll get in there quick.
2 receptions, 52 yards and a touchdown.
But they were big receptions.
But he was drawing so much coverage, which made space for Bryson Hopkins, who might as well have been John Farrow.
I think
this guy?
I think Around the NFL podcast said that the average yards per play for the Rams was something like
6.6.
6.6
I went to
yards,
3.6.
and it went down to 3.6 yards after Beckham came off the field. And that says it all.
Yeah, because you cannot cover Cup and Beckham.
No.
But once one of those two is missing, it becomes much, much easier. Ben Skoranek
can't catch the ball.
No, can't catch the ball. He was terrible. 2 catches from 5 targets for 12 yards.
He looked like he was one of them exchange players they send over, that never actually plays. It's like Christian Wade turning up in the Super Bowl. Where did he come from? Germany?
He had a couple of catches in the playoffs.
Awful.
He had a couple of catches in the playoffs. So he had one against the 49ers. I remember thinking, who the fuck is that, and why are we letting him get a first down?
Is the salary cap situation so bad in Los Angeles that they're letting work experience kids play wide receiver?
It's not as bad as New Orleans, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't.
Well, like 15 million over.
Yeah,
or something.
15 million.
Which means they'll have to find 30 million.
While we're talking wide receivers, we probably ought to talk about the most important one in the game, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
The run, actually, though, was the key play for him.
Yeah, huge play.
Yeah.
The one where they needed, was it 4th and 1, and he did that jet sweep cutback, which was epically good.
Yeah. But he can do it all. So you were saying about utilising players the way the Niners use Debo. Well, the Rams can do that with Kupp. Now, Gary did pick the Rams to win. 3 years I've been picking Cooper Kupp as the best wide receiver in the league. And he was getting injured, and he wasn't necessarily putting up the stats. But come on, I did say this guy is brilliant. And he is brilliant.
Okay, so we've all got 1 point. We've been right tonight.
Yeah, fine. Well, what about John? What's...
He said Eli Apple was shit.
Oh, yeah. That's true. He's got first-hand experience of this. So, Cooper Kupp, MVP. Now, you can go back and forth whether it should have been Aaron Donald or even Matt Stafford if you like. But
because one of those interceptions was end of the half, wasn't it?
It was an arm punt, effectively.
And one of the interceptions wasn't on
Stafford.
It was on Ben Scragg.
I still think Kupp gets it because when they took the lead, that whole drive was based on Kupp.
But then the following drive and one before that was all about Donald as
Donald went and sealed the game, but I think Kupp won the game.
People who decide the MVP, there's 16 journalists which decide the MVP, and it's done during the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
I think if they would have done that at the end of the game, after what Donald had done on that last,
it would have been Aaron Donald. I agree.
It would have been Aaron Donald.
I do
think Kupp is worthy.
Flip a coin.
Yeah.
They were both brilliant.
100%.
8 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns on 10 targets, and a run for 7 yards that, like you say, got the all-important
first
and
he
down.
also drew the pass interference penalty from
Was that on Wilson?
Apple.
Oh, was that Apple, was it?
Yeah. It was on Apple,
Yeah, I mean...
but there was one on Wilson, there was one on Apple
as well. He also drew the penalty where, I think it might have been Apple again, head-to-head contact. Because there was a foul on that play, and instead of
it was offset.
It was offset, so it meant they were still at the 1 yard line rather than the 16-yard line. I think they should have been for the penalty. So was.
You did actually. We mentioned someone there, Zach Wilson, the linebacker for the Bengals. I've not really seen much from him at all season because he's a linebacker for the Bengals. He had a great game. He was consistent. He was a key reason why that Rams rushing attack wasn't a rushing attack.
Us bringing him up, you bringing him up and highlighting him makes me think that we need to discuss the officiating in the game. Now, this comes up every year, right? But we know that they swallow the whistles a little bit or they hold on to the flags a bit in the playoffs. But there were some egregious misses in this game, and I don't like it. Either play the whole season like that or don't change for the playoffs.
It's the in-game inconsistency because
the Wilson foul, compared to everything else happened in the game, wasn't a foul.
I think it's consistency through games as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you want. You are right. They do hold back a little bit in some of the bigger games, but you don't want that because if it's a foul one week, you want to know it's going to be a foul the next week and not let another team get away with something which you've been penalised for the previous week.
I think it was interesting that you got New York didn't look at anything.
No.
So literally nothing.
That's
Like we watch enough NFL and the officials get involved all the time.
How that face mask?
That face mask was just ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. And
it was ridiculous, but also it is another reason why you throw a long ball is because it's harder for the referees to get there. They can't. But New York
should have spotted it.
But the TV coverage, I know Ramsey was thinking the TV coverage didn't spot it until after the kick.
They got so far down the field and made the next play, the point after, so quickly that nobody got time. Well, that's fine, but
maybe that's some good coaching.
Well,
by the Bengals to get up to
no one should be missing that in the first place.
Right. You are
It did make me think that maybe the coaches have been told like there was a bad face mask call, and then those pass. I think those pass interference calls at the end. Because it was a home game, remember, for the Rams. They felt a little bit like a home team, or stroke Brady team decision. So,
am I right in thinking that face mask penalties are not reviewable? The coach can't throw a flag.
No, you can't throw a flag. But don't forget as well that the coaches are losing a lot of money now. Brady's not slipping them, like the odd 100 here and there now as well.
But
the referees, sorry.
No, it's it is, but for the first 3 and a bit quarters, there were no flags. Basically. Nothing, and then suddenly it started to come, and there was
a difference. I don't like it. I don't know why they feel they need to do that.
And in the first half, we were all commenting there was holding everywhere.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was a really bad offside as well on a 4th and 1 for the Rams, a really bad offside from the Bengals. He was about 2 meters over the line.
So it's
normally they'll get your hand moving.
I mean, it's it. You don't. I can understand maybe inconsistency between games. Like there are different refs. You play the ref, I guess, as well. But in-game inconsistencies and where it's so noticeable from one half to the other, it just it is going to confuse players, and effectively you're going to nullify certain aspects of the game.
Nullify. Would you like to talk Aaron Donald or Matt Stafford next? What will you pick?
Let's talk about Matt Stafford.
Right, Matt
because
Stafford.
we'll do Donald with other ones.
This
as
is
well.
My favourite thing I learned about Matt Stafford this week. Prior to this season, Matt Stafford had 11 seasons with losing 8 seasons with losing records, which is the most by any quarterback to then go and start in the Super Bowl, let alone win it. Right now, for years he was basically hamstrung by the fact that the Lions are one of the worst franchises of all time. They've never even been to the Super Bowl. And this proves the point that where you're drafted really makes a difference, because you're a great player in college. You're going to a terrible team, generally speaking, like Trevor Lawrence,
100%.
Joe Burrow,
Andrew Luck. They go to bad teams. The Lions allowed Stafford to choose where he wanted to go. They basically, in the end, said, we can't win with you, even though you're really good. And they let him pick where he went, which is great. And we all said the Lions have done the right thing by Matt Stafford.
Me and Jim were talking about this beforehand, because we'll get on to retirements, but we mentioned that there are some players this year who maybe the biggest retirement, could be the most unexpected retirements, were basically since Megatron. And was the decision to move on from Stafford the fact that we think Megatron asked to leave Detroit and they said no, so he retired.
Yeah.
And so Stafford had the ability to do the same thing and leave them once again, losing effectively their second best ever attacking player, and maybe not, but
Barry
Sanders,
he's up there, yeah.
But a huge playmaker for them and leave them with nothing.
Yeah.
So the fact that they could trade him And at least with the Rams, they got a quarterback, a few first round picks,
and a quarterback.
Okay.
But yeah, the fact that they've let him do that is, and also, I mean, as well, it's great, but it makes this offseason very interesting because, this year the Super Bowl was won by a team with a new quarterback in his first year, the same as the year
Bucks,
before.
Yeah.
And now you've got potentially Rodgers, Wilson, Murray hitting the market. Does this make this offseason really interesting for some teams?
Maybe Stafford. They've got to find out how they're going to pay Stafford.
Stafford
he'll stay, but they've still got to work it out.
Do you not think though that it just proves that all these teams spent all these years and all this money looking for the quarterback? Right? We know it's a team game, but you need, generally speaking, one of the top 10 quarterbacks, don't you, in the league to win the Super Bowl? And the Lions had one for all those years, and they did nothing.
It shows that you're right. Having a good quarterback is a key piece to winning a Super Bowl, but it's not the be all and end all.
No, but you had Calvin Johnson as well.
I think they need to look at some of the salaries for quarterbacks. I think it's got a little bit silly.
It has got a bit silly.
And I think when you look at Brady, he always kept his salary at that like $25 million.
Yeah, so you could have teammates.
Who needs more than $25 million? Seriously.
It is ego based, isn't it?
I get that, but
my divorce has taken quite a lot of my money. I could do with some.
But seriously, that's why do they need $45 million?
To be fair, mate, if you had $25 million,
$45 million to be the highest paid quarterback that never wins anything. Yeah. Brilliant.
Does anyone else look at Stafford and think he reminds me of Brett Favre? Because he just keeps throwing the ball. He gets picked off a lot. He had the most interceptions this season with Trevor Lawrence, but it doesn't stick in the head. He doesn't fall apart like Carson Wentz or Jared Goff or half the other quarterbacks.
It's the hallmark of a good quarterback.
He just keeps bombing. It's incredible.
Just forget about the last play, which might have gone completely wrong, and then go out and do. I mean, that key pass to Cooper Kupp, where he was just looking at the tight end, completely drew the safety off, and it was a no-look pass. Brilliant. There are very, very few people in the world that can do that, ever.
We all said that whilst we were, generally speaking, backing the Bengals because it was the fairy tale Super Bowl, there were a lot of people to be happy about winning on the Rams. Yeah. Stafford is one. Andrew Whitworth, who spent all those years with the Bengals, is another one. He probably will retire.
His interview after the Super Bowl seemed to indicate, he mentioned it was a good walk-off.
Yeah, of course. And then you get Aaron Donald, who... was rumoured before the game, if they win, he's going. And he didn't deny it after the game, but I'd be surprised if he retires. He loves it too much.
He is at the top of his game. Yeah. He's 30 now, so chances are there is going to be a slight drop-off, but not for another 1-2 years.
I can understand both, because he must look at, someone like JJ Watt, who's still earning the big bucks, but each year he plays less and less games. Yeah. It must get harder and harder to come back each year. And, there is something quite honourable about leaving as basically the best defensive player in this generation.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's got nothing left to prove. He is, multiple defensive player of the year. He is probably, like you say, probably the best defensive player we've seen in the last 10, 20 years.
Well, he's the best since JJ Watt was at his peak, and that's the point John's making. He's now looking at his predecessor and thinking...
There is a really good argument about who's better, Aaron Donald or JJ Watt, which I think we can come on to.
Their best years don't overlap. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah. And now he's won a Super Bowl. He's got nothing left to prove. So, I get it from that point of view. It'd be a massive shame for the league, though, because even as a 49er fan, I love watching Aaron Donald.
I'll say he's brilliant to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, it could also be he's got 2 years left on a contract where this year is his last big year.
You were saying earlier, his contract was very front-loaded, so maybe he just wants a bit more money.
I think this is probably driving at another contract. I think he's still got another 2, 3, 4 years at the top.
Oh, he's got... Yeah, I reckon
you do see more players retiring younger. There's obviously a lot around kind of health and, especially the brain injuries and stuff like that. Yeah. So it takes a lot out of him. But
he's in a position where that is going to be a key thing.
You ever wonder what money you'd have got if you'd have said 5 years ago that Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers would have the same number of Super Bowl wins at the end of their careers? Because it's very possible now. Just saying. you got good money on that back then when they were playing each
I
other
think
twice a
that's
season.
more than possible. And actually, there's a good chance Stafford could go
wins
on and
again.
win more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Rodgers is a choker.
Well,
He is.
I dunk.
talking about potentially leaving the Rams, we also McVay is being obtuse. I mean, does anyone see McVay leaving?
No.
I don't either.
I think he loves the game too much.
He loves himself too much.
Loves himself.
He's only 36.
He's a competitive beast as well. I mean, there is the argument is like maybe that competitiveness and that the drive and the grind has taken out of him over the last few years, and he needs a break like Sean Payton. I can't see it though with this team.
I am not watching a Sean McVay movie.
We need to talk about that.
If they lose a lot of star players over the summer, then maybe, because nobody wants to come back and be the team that doesn't make it back to the playoffs. But right now, there's nothing to make me think he would step away. You've just conquered the thing that you were most remembered for, which was having a brilliant offense and then showing up in the Super Bowl and pooing the bed.
I think
He's been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
that is the start of something big, potentially.
I think they'll move heaven and earth to keep the core of this team together.
Yeah.
I think you might lose a couple of players. Maybe Von Miller will go. Maybe Odell Beckham will go. But I think that core of Stafford, Kupp, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. I think
Cam Akers.
Do you know what? In
that
some
stays.
weird ways, the fact that you were not going to have to pay Beckham big money because he's injured.
Yeah.
Might keep him there.
You probably
and he
will
might
keep
be
him,
ready for the end of next season.
Probably
Not
middle
like
of
a
next
highly
season.
bonus contract. It might actually keep him
Cam
there.
Akers had
he
69 snaps in the playoffs, right? He's the only player to have only or 10 or fewer regular season snaps and then double-digit snaps in the playoffs ever at running back. Because he was fresh, and then they got to the play. All right, he didn't do anything really in the Super Bowl.
Shit in the Super Bowl.
But
He was shit in the
left
playoffs.
They left
really.
him on the field a lot of the time because the Bengals then had to cover the run because if he gets free, he's a proper running back. So he was out there as a diversion most of the time. But it worked because once a game he does tend to rack up a large chunk play. He didn't in this game. Nobody did. No running backs were good in this game. But
Watching Chase just see him get further away from 45 yards for his bet. It was like hilarious.
yeah, it wasn't great.
Oh, he's got 13 yards. Oh, now he's got 9 yards.
He's going backwards.
Yeah, it was not fun to watch for the running game. From anyone. I mean,
Mixon had a couple of flashes, but his longest run was only 14 yards still.
And they kept using him as throwing him behind the line and hoping. And
well, after the first half, it looked like it was going to be quite a high-scoring game, and then it just got
Defense
really
is caught
tight.
up.
It's
got really tight.
The Bengals, if they've got any hope of getting back further than the first round of the playoffs, they've got to fix that O-line. Yeah. They've got away with it in this postseason because Burrow is really good, but this time next year he could be broken-legged again. He nearly got his ankle snapped in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He was lucky to only limp off. And that O-line is the problem. They should just go into the draft and just pick O-line.
Well, they don't even need to do that. They've got, I think, something like 60 million under the cap going into next year. So they can buy a new O-line. And you're right.
And they should.
And then they can use a first-round pick to get more O-line reinforcements.
Just depends on how ambitious the Bengals are. Are they?
And that's the problem.
Are they as ambitious as Joe Burrow?
And
that's as an organisation.
And I don't think that's on Zac Taylor. That's an organisation.
Yeah. That's Mike Brown.
Yeah.
And
are they willing to spend that $60 million to go out and build a quality O-line?
They give him an O-line.
Reinforce the cornerbacks because we agree Eli Apple isn't the answer.
Mike Hilton played all right.
Do you know what is the league going to do about the dearth of cornerbacks? Because I get it's a thankless task, but there is just
even
very
Jalen
little.
Ramsey was made to look silly a couple of times in this game because
yeah.
it's hard now.
Yeah.
What did you see on the last play?
There's been the rules now favour offensive players and particularly wide receivers so much. Kids coming into college just like, I'm not doing that job.
Yeah, it's hard.
I'll play safety, or I'll convert to a wide receiver, or I'll put on a bit of few extra pounds and be a linebacker. Because playing cornerback's a tough gig.
Yeah, I just don't know what you do.
No, I don't.
Well, you've probably got to adjust the rules back a bit the other way. You've got to allow contact 10 yards from the line rather than 5 yards from the line or something to give them something back.
I think there's maybe 5 top cornerbacks in the league at the moment, like top cornerbacks.
Top.
And I think that's a massive issue. None of them.
That's all going a bit Jamie
anywhere
Redknapp,
close to being in the 49ers squad.
Well, it's but yeah. Did you see on the final play the one where Donald broke through? Jamar Chase had made Ramsey fall over, and he was free. If the Bengals could have given
second.
Another second he could have got through.
Nearly
But
completed that pass.
Yeah.
I know. But did you see it was to some RJP line, so
Yeah.
they just dropped it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we know the O-line's terrible. It was always going to be their downfall, and ultimately it was.
But is it if the Bengals are to get to let's say the playoffs next year, let's not get to the Super Bowl.
I think that's
to the playoffs.
realistic.
Is it O-line or we say cornerback?
Do you know what the irony is? We wanted them to take Penny Sewell. Well, a majority of us wanted them to take Penny Sewell to keep Burrow upright in the draft. If they'd have had Penny Sewell, there's a good chance that Burrow would have been upright to make that pass in the Super Bowl. But they wouldn't have got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that you'll always think, oh, well, if they'd have done that. But then it shows you
this
the trade.
team were in the bottom 5 for the last 2 seasons and then went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is what the
However you look at it, that's impressive.
But
Yeah,
that's
Only
what
4 teams, including them, have ever won 5 or fewer games one season and then gone to the Super Bowl the next year.
That's what the NFL's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
And it does work. It
Designed,
shows you.
designed for parity, but it's designed not to have the same 2 teams in the Super Bowl every year. And that's why it's fucking hard to get to Super Bowl.
Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, and one other quarterback have won the Super Bowl in their first season with a team. Who is the other one? He is in an era that most of us will have at least seen American football. So I'm not talking from the 70s or 80s. It's
Montana got to the Super Bowl, didn't he? Or did he get to the championship game?
Won the Super Bowl.
Oh, won it. He got there, didn't he?
He got there, but he didn't
Got
win.
there, didn't win it.
He got to a championship game.
The championship game, yeah.
Won the Super Bowl in his
Won the
first
Super Bowl
season.
first season.
With a new team, not his second.
Kurt Warner.
No, he didn't win it.
No,
He did win it.
not in his first season.
It was his second season, wasn't it? Go on. Any guesses? Anyone at all?
Well, obviously Peyton won it. But
Yeah,
he
but
didn't win it his
First
first.
season he
No.
lost it in.
No. Peyton and Matt Stafford have another link, though. They are the only 2 quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl after losing their first 3 playoff games.
Oh.
But the answer that you're looking for rolls off the tongue beautifully. Is Trent Dilfer
Of course,
with the Ravens in 2000. Remember him? He's
I don't think about backup quarterbacks when we talk about this.
But is he not? Is he not the famous quote from the draft that led to who's Mel Kiper anyway?
Yes.
Because they picked Trent Dilfer, and then he went and won the Super Bowl. So, you know, it was just interesting to see where Matt Stafford is now. He's in these conversations, and if he can get into the playoffs and make a run the next 2 or 3 seasons, you're suddenly looking at Hall of Fame candidate Matt Stafford. I'm not saying right now.
It is funny that he's gone from.
I think Stafford is going in the Hall of Fame.
I think right now he's probably
He's
on
gone
the
from-
he's on the borderline.
I don't think so.
Last year he was 1 Pro Bowl, Matt Stafford,
Yeah.
and now he's got as many Super Bowls as Pro Bowls.
He's also like when you look at his
12-year
passing
career.
yards and stuff like that. He's had 2 of the top 5, wide receivers, as well. Like I think Stafford was already, he was no different to Philip Rivers, was he already?
Yeah, but I don't think Philip Rivers goes in. But
that's the argument. I think he was on the cusp, and now he's won a Super Bowl. I think he'll definitely go in.
He probably will go
Are
in.
you telling me Stafford's worse than Eli Manning?
No, he's way better than Eli.
Oh,
Manning.
no, he is.
But-
But Eli Manning.
No, I'm not even digging. He's asked a question.
Yeah.
No.
the eyes at the end of the table.
I think Richard Sherman has been having big rants about this on Twitter, hasn't he? And he makes some interesting points. Like Matt Stafford, he's had 1 Pro Bowl before this season. He's not been in an all-decade team and probably won't be in an all-decade team. Before this season, I would say there's maybe 1 season you'd put Matt Stafford in the top 5 quarterbacks.
Maybe.
Do fans of losing teams normally get players into the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's only
Really?
been 1. Yes.
From the NFC. So
Do
you're going to take a team with a record of 5 and 11.
The team that had the most players in the Pro Bowl this year,
Colts.
Colts.
I get that. But at quarterback, you're not going to take a quarterback with a losing
Why
record and
not?
put him in the Pro Bowl all the
But
time.
you're saying he had all these yards and all these.
He
you know,
did.
Great. So why not put him
But
in the Pro
American
Bowl?
fans are stupid sometimes.
He also did make the playoffs a couple of times.
We're a British
It's
podcast.
not like
He
he's
made the playoffs several times
and
with
he
the Lions.
still only 1 Pro Bowl. But yeah.
I can see that. I can see the argument Richard Sherman's making though. He's never.
Did he make it in a calm way, or was he smashing someone's door in when he did it?
As he's writing a tweet, it's probably kicking.
I may
some-
not take too much from
Yeah.
Richard Sherman, but it's just
I
interesting
think
to see
it
that.
is an interesting point because I don't think that we talk about people going to the Hall of Fame being dominant players at their position for a sustained period of time. Aaron Donald, I think, is a shoe-in. Tom Brady is obviously a shoe-in. Can we say that Matt Stafford is a dominant player at quarterback at any point in his career?
No, you can't, but he is the difference maker, which is what the Rams wanted. They went out and aggressively said, our problem in the Super Bowl, in their opinion, was Jared Goff. Who can we get who's a massive upgrade? They got Matt Stafford. We all agreed he's a massive upgrade.
100%.
Eventually, he was the reason. I mean, that was his 36th game-winning drive, fourth quarter game-winning drive. He now has 3 in the playoffs. How many does Aaron Rodgers have?
None.
2. Yeah. In his career, he has 2 fourth quarter game-winning playoff drives.
To be fair, but Rodgers has never been behind as much as Stafford.
I don't think he'll be like a shoe-in first round pick.
But he'll get in.
But I think he'll get in.
I agree. He probably will get in, but I can see that the argument Sherman's making, and that it's maybe not become the Hall of Fame. It's become the Hall of. All right, yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Anyway, we'll take a break and then we'll come back and we'll discuss everything else going on in the NFL. Support for the Snap UK is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com. The Performance Package 4.0 by Manscaped has arrived, and oh man, it's a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. So now the NFL season is over, we've got 7 months getting back out in the world. So find your confidence with Manscaped and look after your balls. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code THESNAP. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Okay, welcome back. So, not just the Super Bowl we've got to cover. We also have the NFL Associated Press Honours, so MVP and such. So,
what does that AP stand for?
Are we not discussing the Super Bowl halftime show
We'll discuss
first?
the Super Bowl halftime show afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Because
I think you discuss it at half time, didn't you?
Because no.
Okay, host John.
Let's be ungovernable.
French. You want to be French now?
But yeah, so Aaron Rodgers got MVP.
Obviously.
Because
no haircut.
yeah,
Or
and
dress sense.
in a corduroy suit, which
I saw something. It was shown again. Actually, I think last night on NBC.
Yeah, it's been shown a lot.
There were some arrays of suits, shall we say? There was definitely, all sorts of stuff going on with some of those suits.
He looked like a 1970s criminal going through his court case.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good.
he has killed and he will do again. I guess
I don't think he's got a killer instinct, actually, John.
not in the playoffs.
I assume when he does kill, it's by choking.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
That was hopefully the right one.
John, press the button. None of us can hear what happened.
But yeah, when you have people like Andrew Whitworth, it's not like Andrew Whitworth can go down to Moss Bros and just pick a suit out.
No,
like the guy's massive. So we said it halfway through the season. Well, I said I think this year it's going to be Rodgers who wins MVP because no one else is stepping up.
No other quarterback.
Who's not a quarterback.
Yeah.
So
what did he throw? 37 touchdowns to 5 interceptions or something ridiculous.
His stats were great.
The stats are great. He was Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying.
But I've got.
He wasn't.
So is he. Just one.
But was he the best player this year?
No.
No,
he wasn't.
But we know
No, but that's not the question, is it? Is he the most valuable player? And actually,
No.
to his franchise, he probably was the most valuable player in the regular season.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't. It bugs
What
me.
are
that
the
it's always a
Packers
quarterback.
with no Aaron Rodgers?
I would suggest that if you were picking a player who's the most valuable to the team, it's Derrick Henry or somebody like that.
No, because he wasn't there, was he? But he was injured.
Josh Allen.
But
Yeah, Josh Allen.
maybe Josh Allen.
Patrick Mahomes.
That's a shout. No, not Mahomes in the regular season.
Well, I'm just saying.
When he was good,
If-
they were good. When he
But
was shit,
if
they
there
were
was
the
no,
Packers,
if there was no
mate,
Rodgers,
if
what
you're going-
happened at the Packers? Nothing. Nothing would happen.
true.
Yeah, I know, but at least with the Packers, you theoretically they could have a bloke just hand it to their elite running back or something. Josh Allen is like 70% of the Buffalo Bills offense.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is effectively how the chief offense all runs through him. I think
The offense all runs through the quarterback. That is a very valid point, John.
But no, they don't have a running game, whereas the Packers have a running game.
Who had the best record in the NFL this year? The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Whose quarterback had the best record in the NFL this year? The Green Bay
I think
Packers.
we're all
I'm
just
just
tired of seeing
comparing
it going to quarterbacks when there were other players in other positions.
Cup had the best season.
Yeah.
So it was either Cup or it was Rodgers, because Rodgers had
but
statistically
when
the
you
best
hold
season.
those two up, it was always going to be Rodgers, right?
It was always going to be, and that's why Cup won the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Also known as the runner-up.
The runner-up, yeah.
Because it is, isn't it? I mean, this is my whole point. Yes, you're right. The quarterback is the most important player on any team. Pretty much 90% of the teams, you could probably take the starting quarterback out, and there'd be a drop-off in some way, form. Maybe, like I said, maybe there's 2 or 3 teams where that doesn't occur. Probably the 49ers.
Well, one of them you could argue is the Colts, who Jonathan Taylor was right in the running,
Yeah.
apparently.
Well, he didn't
But, you know,
get
of
a
course,
vote, did he?
No.
No.
Only Cup and Rodgers and Brady got votes, didn't
Yeah.
So in that case, the MVP is always going to be the quarterback because it's the most pivotal position, probably in all of sports. So either we accept that and just say, right, well, it's going to be quarterback of the year, fine, or we have positional awards, best wide receiver, best quarterback, best tight end, best whatever, or we say it's the best player of the year. And if it's the best player of the year, it's Cooper Kupp.
And I don't think you can even do like positional player, because like what you'd end up is someone like Debo, who sort of is his own position, and suddenly wide back. Oh, and then you could go, well, was he the best one? Was he the best wide back? Because technically, like Cordell Patterson's had a really good season.
Yeah.
So now it just gets silly. So no,
That's
it
what
has
the
to
Pro
be.
Bowl's for, isn't it?
It has to be MVP, but it just has to be that
But you just
the
rename
people
it.
have to fucking think about it, and it's.
When was the last time it wasn't a quarterback? It was what, 2012, Adrian Peterson? It's 10 years of solid quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's not been a defensive MVP.
I don't have a
probably
problem
since
with it.
Lawrence Taylor, I think.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. Just don't dress it up as being something
Yeah,
else. That's it.
absolutely.
Just call it what it is. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yep. So
Anyway.
in the other awards, Cooper Kupp got the seemingly the runner-up MVP
award,
for offensive player. Defensive player of the year went to TJ Watt.
Who had his award handed to him by JJ Watt, which is
Which
the
is
first time
pretty
a
sweet.
brother has passed an award to, and they've both been the winner. So that was very good.
Comeback
and
player,
deserved.
Joe Burrow.
I've got no problem with that. I have got.
You have a problem with it.
I've got no
You've
problem
not
with
bitched.
Joe Burrow
You've bitched about it for days,
winning
mate.
comeback player. For Nick Bosa not to get a single vote, fuck off.
I think for Jim's birthday, we need to get him a Nick Bosa cutout because his wife is going to get a lot less action than that cutout.
Get her a mask.
Be cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean,
Evening, Aoife.
yeah. Max Crosby got more votes and he didn't even come back. Defensive rookie Micah Parsons,
Obviously.
to the surprise of nobody.
Was that unanimous?
Yes,
Yeah,
unanimous,
yeah,
yeah.
it was, yeah.
And
rightly-
awarded by
rightly so.
Kelly Clarkson.
Obviously.
Okay.
Massive Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
former MVP. No. Just checking.
I don't think she's even had a comeback, has she?
I don't think so.
I was trying to think of a
I'm
way
not
to.
down with the kid, John.
No.
Well, I know. So an offensive
sort of
rookie,
comeback.
Jamar Chase.
Seems
Once
fair,
again, to
yeah.
the surprise of nobody.
Yeah.
Coach of the year, Mike Vrabel.
Now, I like that. I don't have a problem with that because everyone said, well, Henry's gone, that's it, they're done. And he kept them going and they got in the playoffs and they won games. I have no problem with it. But that is the most surprising of all the awards. No, it's just that if you're looking at one that you go, well, hang on, that could have gone to 6 different people.
I think that's the thing.
That's the most surprising one, right?
It could have gone to a lot of people. It went to Vrabel.
Zac Taylor
It could have gone
according
to
to
Zac
you, apparently.
Taylor. It could have gone to Matt LaFleur. Could have gone to Sean McVay.
I think for the regular season, it wasn't going
Yeah.
to go to Zac Taylor because he had a 10-7 record. You know, Mike Vrabel had the number 1 seed in the AFC after losing his best player.
Yeah.
So he's coach of the year, isn't he?
He lost a lot of players. They had like I said this before. They had the most players. 91 players they had in that season.
That's insane.
Which is ridiculous. You missed one out. Assistant coach of the year.
Oh,
Dan Quinn for the Dallas Cowboys. Again,
Yep.
I can't really fault that.
stay in your lane, Dan. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Well, there might be a position for free at the Cowboys at the end of next season. So,
Welcome back, Sean
Payton.
Payton.
Yeah, Sean Payton will be in that.
There are actually a load of other awards which don't mean Tilly Squat, which we missed. So, Salute to Service Award was Andrew Beck for the Broncos.
Didn't Whitworth win Man of the Year?
It was last year,
that
wasn't
does
it?
mean something.
It was last year, wasn't he? Whitworth?
Whitworth was
Walter
Walter
Payton,
Payton Man of the
mate.
Year.
It was this year.
Yeah, and thoroughly deserved. You watched the video of what he does. Actually, it's
Is this a good
give
time
a very nice
to
speech
point
as well.
out that you said, look how old he is, and then looked him up and realised he's younger than you?
yeah.
I mean, he does look older than you, but
I think my actual quote was, "Oh, he's bloody 90," and then
Yeah.
I realised he's younger than me. Yes, that was
does look older than you, but that's because he does a proper job and works hard.
exactly.
That is what we said.
Yeah, that is very much what we said.
So we'll do our own awards next week.
People can't wait.
Which, of course, is what everyone's holding on for right now.
Matt Slater won the Art Rooney Award.
What, for buggering off?
I don't know. Just
The Art Rooney
Matt
Award.
Slater won the Art Rooney Award.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Hall of Fame. I haven't got this in front of me, so Jim, do you want to lead on this one?
There's some Hall of Fame nominees and there's some Hall of Fame enshrinees going into the Hall of Fame class in 22. Yeah,
I'd have gone with inductees. but
inductees, enshrinees. I think it's both.
I didn't know you could be enshriney, but okay.
Now you can.
Enshrined.
You're
You
enshrined.
get a bust, don't
I've
you?
never
It's
heard
like
of someone
the
described as an
fucking Freemasons or
enshrinee.
something.
Exactly. Anyway,
Has SGW
Well, there it
been
is.
fucking influencing this podcast behind my back?
no, he hasn't.
Brought to you by Wordle.
Is this like when Jim's wearing his Nick Bosa mask? Anyway.
I'm going to get a Nick Bosa mask for next week. All right, so top of the list, Tony Baselli, tackle from Jacksonville
About
Jaguars. About time,
Yeah.
absolutely. He was, a dominant player at his position. Wide receiver, wide receiver, Cliff Branch, spent his whole career at the Raiders.
The Radars.
Raiders,
Las
both
Vegas Radars.
both Oakland and Los Angeles, won 3 Super Bowls. In a 22 playoff games, he caught 73 passes for 1,200 yards, which are both NFL records of his time.
Searching for the playoffs. No. Nothing there. No bips.
Leroy Butler, safety from the Green Bay Packers, won a Super Bowl, went to another Super Bowl, registered 20 career sacks and interceptions in all but his final year in the league.
We had him down as one of the people missing from the Hall of Fame last year when we did a podcast. So
That's good of us, wasn't it?
we are. I like to think that someone at the NFL's listening to us because we picked Baselli and Leroy Butler.
Nothing to do with the NFL. This is all from the Associated Press.
Oh, no.
And also no one from the NFL is listening to us.
No, of course
I
not.
really hope they're not.
No. Fuck you.
Gary just insulted all of the fans. All American fans.
Well, they do vote
not
for
just-
the Pro Bowl. Nick Bosa, as Jim will tell you, wasn't all fucking pro.
He wasn't, no.
True.
It's fair. He didn't just slag off the NFL fans. He just slagged all Americans.
Yeah.
So
Evening, Duncan.
Art McNally, he was an official / administrator. He was a referee for 9 years. He is the father of instant replay. So
I really wondered what you were going to say then.
he's the father of something else as well. Sam Mills, this is his 20th year of eligibility. He was a 5'9" linebacker, played for the Saints and the Panthers.
Surely there should be a cut-off. You shouldn't be. It's like driving tests. You shouldn't be allowed to take 15 of them. You should have to get to 7 and then stop.
There is a cut-off, but then you go into
Legacy
players, or old age players, as you might want to call it. But no, he had.
There's always some modern day players, and then there's always like
the
two
legends,
legends.
20 years of eligibility sounds a bit much.
Well, he was a perennial team leader in tackles for the Saints. For
John Lynch
5
tried to
seasons
get
and
there.
the Panthers for twice.
as well, like if they have to give a speech 25 years after leaving the NFL, that's just going to be.
Well, he's dead. He died in
Oh, to
2005.
say.
Brilliant. Foot in mouth.
I'm just saying, 25 years of
We're very sad for your loss.
Yeah.
25 years of CTE for the people is going to be a really bizarre speech.
But, anyway, someone on his side, incredible for that position. Richard Seymour, defensive end / tackle for the Patriots and the Raiders. Won a lot of Super Bowls. That's what you need to know about him. Dick Vermeil. The look I just got from Griff. Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil, yeah. Nothing funny about Dick Vermeil.
Like, if he used Manscaped, that'd definitely be smoother coming out of your mouth.
Yeah. He was a coach for the Eagles, the Rams, and the Kansas City Chiefs. He won a Super Bowl famously with the Rams and then walked away. And so that was one of his biggest regrets. Had a postseason record of 6-5 and a regular season record of 120 to 109. pretty decent.
Yep.
Bryant Young, defensive tackle for the 49ers, again won a Super Bowl, was named to the all-decade team for the 1990s, and that is it.
Cool. Well,
I can't believe that Gary made a dick joke just because Paul's not here.
I know.
I'll just, I'm really appreciative to our sponsors, Manscaped.
Keeping your end up, Paul.
Anyway, let's move on to some current players. So Kyler Murray has seemingly dipped off the radar of the Cardinals.
Throwing his toys out.
I think he's well on the radar, just not in a good way.
He's they're seemingly set out to destroy his character at the moment, whether legitimate or not.
So
I think he started it.
The background to this being he deleted.
You started it.
He definitely started it.
but you're about to call him childish.
He did start it.
They started it. They invaded Poland, I think is the actual quote. Now,
We're not saying anything about the
back to
fucking...
Sudetenland.
yeah, exactly. Right. So I knew that this podcast come full circle. So am I right in thinking, and I famously don't know how to use social media, but like 3 weeks ago he deleted everything Cardinals related off of his social media.
It's just a picture of him and Jamar Chase or something.
No, there's two pictures of him on social media. One for when he played for Oklahoma, and one at the Pro Bowl where he was pictured with CeeDee Lamb.
So no reference to the Cardinals.
No reference to the Cardinals.
And
They didn't even mention that he plays for the Cardinals.
And am I also right in thinking for the last 2 snaps of the Cardinals' playoffs defeat, he refused to come and take a knee, and they sent Colt McCoy out under centre?
Supposedly so.
And apparently the players on the team felt that was extremely disrespectful of him to do that, and have questioned his leadership internally.
So the quote from Chris Mortensen, who first reported this, was Murray is described as self-centered, immature, and a finger pointer.
So young man gets too much money and
Wants more
develops
money.
badly. Yeah, I mean, it's not a shock, is it? It just shows you how petulant some of these players become.
It's going to get worse. Like
It is
they're
gonna
going
get
to be rich
And
when they get to the
but
NFL.
This takes me back to what I was saying about Stafford, right? So he spent 13 years with the Lions, basically did the world's longest apprenticeship to get the promotion he deserved to then win a Super Bowl. Kyler Murray wants to go somewhere and win now, and it doesn't work like that. If you plug Kyler Murray into half the teams in the NFL, there'll be better teams, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl right now.
Do you think he's looking at Burrow
Yeah.
and gone, that guy's in his second year and he's in the Super Bowl, and what the fuck's going on?
But the Cardinals team is probably as good as the Bengals team. They just didn't win.
Yeah, in the second half of the season, the Cardinals team just dropped off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
The thing is, we can't really blame Murray for that because he was out injured.
He was back for some of the games.
He was
They were
back when he was
Out
back.
for 3 games.
Yeah.
He was out for a
This
bit.
is where it comes. 3 or 4. This is where it comes back to what I was saying about Joe Burrow right at the
One
start.
without him.
Which is, they did. Colt McCoy
Yeah.
won 2 out of 3. But what I was saying earlier is, for the Bengals, Joe Burrow is the figurehead.
The 49ers was one of them, so don't count.
And what the Cardinals want is they want Kyler Murray to be a figurehead, but he's not very good at it. Burrow is
He's
really
only
good
got a
at
little head, isn't he?
it. No, well, look,
But
he's got a massive
I
helmet.
think that there's a key thing. If you look at the Bengals, I know we're making a comparison apples versus pears, but if you look at the Bengals, they respect their quarterback. Like Joe Burrow is a leader in that locker room, undoubtedly. I don't think there's been any point in Kyler Murray's history in the league where I felt that he's a leader in that locker room. I feel that other leaders, like bringing Hopkins in, like having Fitzgerald previously, like bringing J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, he's not been allowed to blossom and be that leader because he's had bigger personalities in the locker room, or he's not taken that opportunity.
This is all about money, and he's picked the wrong time because he's gone at the time when his stock's a little bit lower because a few people think he choked in the playoffs, and now that is not the time to start getting really bolshy.
And that's part of his argument is that he's been made out to be the scapegoat.
Well, he didn't play very
As a
well.
quarterback, you've got to take that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can't makes me think he's not mature enough to go somewhere else and win either.
And we said this.
He's only got little shoulders, so when you rest all this on him, he just struggles, doesn't he?
I said this on Sunday. I said there are very few quarterbacks in the league that can do this, play this game with the perfect bluff in their hand in terms of he can turn around to the Cardinals and go, sod this, not playing football anymore. I'm a first-round pick in baseball. I'm going to go and play for the Oakland A's. And probably get paid more for a longer period of time. He's the only player that can do this. So this is either one way or another. Either the Cardinals do value him and they do pay him, or he probably walks away. So I can't see them trading him.
Is it a mistake to pay him?
better the devil you
But
know.
I think it's a mistake to pay him now. I mean,
Depends how much you're going to pay him. It's a mistake to pay him $40 million a year.
Yeah.
If he says, I'll take 30, I think that's reasonable. In
if
today's
you
market,
can extend
which sounds
the
fucking
contract,
ridiculous, But yeah.
Yeah, if you could extend the contract, you need to tie him up for 5 years.
Well, you've got him for this. This just finished.
You've got
his
him for
third
another
year.
2.
So you got him for another 2. You could franchise tag him. That will really piss him off.
First year won't even cost you that much to franchise tag him.
Exactly in comparison. So you could have him for another 3 years. Now, some would argue, is it worth having an unhappy player on your team for 3 years? Like, is he going to like the key for anybody in management? The key for getting the best out of your employees is to keep them happy.
But this is the whole problem with Kyler, which is he falls into this massive middle ground of, is he worth investing in, or can you find someone else who can play somewhere near the level for a lot less money?
Not this
I
year.
don't think you can.
I think he's a franchise quarterback talent. I do.
Yeah.
I do think he is.
I think
that
talent is there,
I think he's that talented,
but
but
he hasn't matured.
if he's not, I think you need to have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
You need to be really clear what your expectations are. If we pay you this money,
Well, his representatives,
this is who you need to be.
His
You know?
representatives should be saying to him, how serious are you about baseball? And if you're not 100% committed to that, then this is what you need to do to earn the money here. Because 50% of the time, he looks like a generational quarterback. And 50% of the time, he looks like you can grind him into the dirt and he's not going to win. And that's a problem. He hasn't developed, like Joe Burrow's passed him basically as in development, and he hasn't done what, say, Josh Allen did and take massive leaps. He's slowly got better, but there's no massive leap, and he's not the leader that Allen is, for instance.
Yep.
And these are all negatives, and somebody in his camp needs to be saying to him, these are the reasons why perhaps you're not getting it done. These are the things you can do to fix it, in which case you're a franchise quarterback and you'll probably go to the Super Bowl at some point.
The risk is, one, he's in a very difficult division, and two, the other risk for me is any of these exceptionally mobile quarterbacks are one bad injury away from not being the same player, and that affects your value.
Do you not think he knows that, though?
Well, yeah, but like he can't be Mahomes because his arm is not as good as Mahomes. He's decent, but it's not as good as Mahomes.
I don't think he's a million miles. Like his ability to throw on the run is up there with Mahomes.
But if he can't run,
But when Mahomes gets hit, he looks like he can absorb it. And
Yeah.
Kyler's a little bit too
that's
small
fair.
statured for that. And that's no one's fault. And he's made a great career already out of being told he's too small. But Gary's right. At some point, he could get cammed and then you don't get back up again. And that could be your career over.
I would have said RG Freed.
Well,
Yeah, that's
whoever
what I
you
mean.
like,
Yeah.
and Kyler can slide. And so maybe he is better off playing baseball because you don't see the number of injuries. But it depends what you want. Do you want money now and a career in something you're not quite as good at? Or do you want to try and be the best in the sport you are really good at with the potential for money?
I think the problem is, and you hit the nail on the head a little bit, he's got to have someone in his corner talking to him sensibly. I don't think he's that sensible to have someone that sensible in his corner. Because I think once you start having that conversation with him, from all intents and purposes, from everything we're hearing, he's going to shut down. Now, that's just my opinion, reading between the lines.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how young people that work with me, if you try and tell them what to do and they've got no inclination to listen or to pay attention to the experience I've had, tend to end up fucking off somewhere else.
And you've had loads of experience because you're really old, as we just discovered a minute ago.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
you change job at least every 18 months.
Should we go on and talk about another quarterback who's a bit of a pussy? Carson Wentz could well be out of a job.
Guy played with 2 broken ankles. He can't call him a pussy.
And a broken
can.
back.
I can.
I mean, you can call him a pussy, but you're wrong.
He's not listening. Yeah, so I actually don't really understand what else the Colts thought they were going to get out of him. This is what I don't understand about the rumour about moving on from him. Who are they replacing him with?
Yeah, exactly.
And why do they think they were going to get something different? Carson Wentz played this season exactly the way I thought Carson Wentz would play for the Colts.
The actual play wasn't terrible. He had a few bad games.
He had some ropey games because he has ropey games.
Yeah, that's
why
Carson
he
Wentz
was
is,
available.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know what else they thought they were getting out of him. And unless I hear, oh, it's going to be so-and-so that comes in to replace him, and that person's clearly better, I don't understand why you do it to yourself. You've just had to move from Andrew Luck to Phillip Rivers. You've had Jacoby Brissett thrown in the middle somewhere. And now you've had Carson Wentz. You don't want to be moving on again unless you know it's an upgrade. And I don't see who it is right now.
Yeah, they've got no first-round pick this year because they gave that to the Eagles for Carson Wentz.
Who are they getting?
So who? Yeah,
If they sign Jimmy Garoppolo, is he an upgrade on Carson Wentz? Is he an upgrade on Carson Wentz? You told
depends.
me what you think about this
It's
already.
a consistency
Yeah.
Well,
you get from Jimmy
yeah,
G that you don't. I mean,
Carson
even
Wentz-
then, Jimmy G is not a model of consistency, but
His lows
he's
aren't
clutch.
as low.
He's clutch.
Yeah, he's clutch and his lows aren't as low. But I would say he's not as good as Carson Wentz.
If I gave you a quarterback that threw 27 touchdowns and 7 picks in a season, though,
Yeah.
you'd be like, that's cool.
Who was that?
That's Carson Wentz's season
Yeah.
last year.
He doesn't do tons wrong. He's just very uninspiring
Yeah.
for the money he gets paid.
He misses the top line of elevation. Like, you don't feel he can drag your team to win. Now, and this goes all the way back to what I've always said, which is he's got a massive chip on his shoulder for not being the quarterback who won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, because he did 3/4 of the heavy lifting that season and then had to watch a guy who, for 3 or 4 games a season, usually in the playoffs, is clutch and does have that upper echelon ability to do that, but can't do it the rest of the time.
But if you're not that quarterback who can drag your team to win, but you've got Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah.
I mean, similar to like the Titans, I think Tannehill is not the quarterback there to go out and win a game. That's down to Derrick Henry. So Tennessee are like, you know what, we're fine with Tannehill. We don't have to pay him $40 million a year, and we can build around him.
But do you remember who the Dolphins had when they got rid of Tannehill because they said he wasn't good enough?
Fitzpatrick.
Bradford.
Well, maybe before this then. I'm thinking Jay Cutler.
No,
was
that's because he was injured.
Okay, because he was injured, right? And people are going, well, Jay Cutler, well, I don't know. And what it showed the Dolphins is we're not so badly off with Tannehill. And this is what the Colts are going to
Maybe it's us, not them.
Yeah, and this is what the Colts are going to get into is like, at some point you've got to realise one of these guys is talented. Phillip Rivers won a lot of games with the Colts, but they didn't want to invest in him because it was Phillip Rivers. Jacoby Brissett has actually played quite well when he's played for the Colts, but they don't want to invest in him because he's Jacoby Brissett. Eventually, you've got to look at yourself and think, right, well, we've got Jonathan Taylor and we've got a great O-line and we've got wide receivers
defense
twos,
as well.
several of.
I don't think they've got very good receivers.
Do you know what?
I think
Pitman is a good wide receiver.
Yeah, Pittman's a really good.
Pittman could be a good
I
wide
think he
receiver.
was decent.
But they've got
He had concrete hands
They've
at
also
the
got
second half of
cap
the season.
space. So go out and sign
Yeah.
Devontae Adams.
And that's it. I think it's not the investing in Wentz as such. I think it's investing in what's around him.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor is great. He's like, I thought he was a middling quarterback, running back at the start of the year.
terrible quarterback.
He's a,
Really bad
a middling running back.
Sorry.
But their best wide receiver is still probably Ty, and he's not very good.
No, I don't.
Pittman had concrete hands.
Pittman way outplayed Ty last year.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
I'm not going to listen to any Giants fan talk to me about that.
No, but I'm just saying, like especially when it came to the end of the season, their wide receivers
drops
all let them
He
down.
drops a lot of.
All of them.
So we can agree that the Colts don't have a
And that's
number
it.
one wide receiver.
So it's really not fair to judge Wentz, which would go back to my original point. Is I don't think they should get rid of him.
No.
And they seem very. Keen
I
to
don't.
get
I
rid
don't.
of him.
I don't see the point.
No.
I think if you dump him, you save $15 million.
None of the
How much?
available quarterbacks are a definite upgrade.
And they can't afford to trade for one
No.
of the top ones.
No.
So
Seems very strange.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
I don't
They're
get
just
it.
posturing. They're just posturing.
I agree, but yeah,
He won't go.
it seems stupid to do.
What else have you got on your list, John?
So we'll end with. Well, actually, we won't end with.
Actually, I've got a quick stat on the Colts.
Okay.
Frank Reich has had 5 different quarterbacks start for him. Anyone, in his career at the Colts. Anyone name them all?
Wentz,
Rivers.
Brissett, Rivers,
Luck.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Maybe this one will get you.
hang on. Ow.
Some sort of journeyman.
Yep.
Sanchez.
No,
Sanchez.
he went to the Redskins, not the Redskins, what they're called now. Oh, the Commanders.
Commanders. Did we talk about that?
Yeah,
we
last
did,
week.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. I can't think
One
of
of
it.
your ultimate journeymen.
Yeah, it's not McCowan, it's the other one. Was always doing the rounds. I'm going to kick myself when you say it.
Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer.
Played one start
game.
for the
The
Colts.
ultimate journeyman.
Yeah. Sorry, I saw that and thought that'd be cool.
So one thing to mention: AP had an eventful weekend. He got
The Associated Press.
Associated Press.
Adrian Peterson, AD, then all day. But Adrian Peterson got escorted off a plane after
Altercation.
an altercation.
Not an
with-
agreement.
But yeah, altercation with his wife. So they seem to think that would be
No sticks involved.
sorted quite quickly, but who knows? But of course, he has still not retired. He thinks he will be back next year. So
I think the league might retire.
yes, as well. We mentioned the Super Bowl, but of course, we haven't mentioned the halftime show. The ratings were a big up this year.
Yeah.
But of course, part of the Super Bowl is the halftime show. Did you all enjoy the
I did.
hip hop spectacular?
Generally speaking, I thought it was very good.
I thought it was the best I've had for a good number of years.
It was no Shakira.
The best I've had for 2 years. Then
Well, the thing with Shakira and J-Lo,
yeah.
is we watched it with the sound off.
Yeah.
That may be the case, but I enjoyed
they were great.
I mean, we've got to be careful about how you judge this halftime show.
No, I thought they were really great segments. I thought Dre and Eminem in particular were amazing.
And Snoop was good.
Yeah, I
Snoop,
like
Snoop
the
just
beginning.
looked stoned, but
Yeah, and he was
that's
in
what you want from
John
Snoop.
tells me he was wearing his Crips pajamas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a member of the Crypt. Yes, that's
I
their
just
colours.
didn't know they did their own brand of knitwear.
I didn't know
They're
that was
blue
a thing.
and gold. Yeah, that's
I
what they.
like- The beginning
I
was
wouldn't
good.
have known
The
that.
end was good. The middle.
Nobody
definitely
needed
dipped.
Mary J. Blige.
I thought
My
she was fine.
my friends who are Mary J. Blige fans enjoyed Mary J. Blige.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was the outfit. And people can wear what they like, right? And I know we get sensitive subject, but who puts their gran in Stormtrooper wellies and mirrory things and says, go and dance around like you're 25? No one. It was undignified. It wasn't right. Didn't like it.
Should she have worn a mohawk?
Yes.
No, but yeah. Anyway,
We also
my friends really enjoyed Mary J. Blige and thought she looked great. So,
Now, who did
Each-
you enjoy, John?
well, I believe that music didn't peak with Phil Collins,
Right.
and I like Kendrick Lamar, and I thought his show was very good.
I'd never heard of him, and I thought it was crap.
I'd
never
heard of him.
And the
that
old
was-
men
that was a
say-
dip in the middle.
I'd heard of him, but my ears did not enjoy what I was listening to with that bit. And like I say, a lot of it was really good. I thought the staging was really good as well.
the way they
Staging
did
is
it.
always brilliant.
No,
it
that
was
amazing,
particularly
yeah.
good. So
It was designed by the lady who designed Adele's sets.
right,
And,
shame that they're not happening in Vegas. Really,
apparently not.
She's got some spare time. Then.
yeah. I did see some people say that there's a bridge in London that's been out for 18 months, and maybe they should get hold of the guys that put the stage up in 5 minutes, which I've particularly
It's very
enjoyed.
true. Should we discuss the fact that 50 Cent turned up unannounced, upside down, looking like he hasn't hit the gym for several years?
Singing the only decent song he ever did,
Yeah,
which was
agreed.
overplayed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was overplayed, but we all enjoyed it. You can't say you didn't
Yeah.
It
enjoy
took us back to some of our bad clubbing
it.
days.
It
didn't
very
it?
much
Yeah.
took us back.
The whole thing reminded me of going clubbing
If
in
he'd have managed
2002.
one, whatever that's called,
Which were
pull
the
up.
glory years, John?
Well, you were, but I know.
Glory years.
They had glory moments.
Mine didn't.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Like we said, that must have been the most securely fixed chin-up bar that he was hanging off of.
And
of all
obviously,
time.
Eminem took a knee.
took a knee. Yeah.
I didn't even notice until it was.
Well,
done.
he-
I mean, I
I thought it
noticed
was
him
just part of the act.
I did as well. Like,
Oh no, it was so like.
Never noticed.
Didn't you? It was so pronounced that it was like, and basically, you know, I think they'd all been told you can't.
Can you take a knee in a pronounced way?
Well, yeah, while the
He just
fucking
started
cameras
on
are
his
looking
knee.
at you, and you know, it's not like he did it hid off to the thing. He waited until everyone was looking at him as he moved over, and he took the knee for like 20
I thought he
seconds.
was on his knee because what's his face was playing on the piano.
Dr. Dre.
Is that what you do when someone plays the piano?
I thought he was
Do you?
intensely listening to it.
No, it was, and I think he was told to not say a line in one of his songs, and he said it. So,
Shock horror.
About-
Eminem defies
don't
the,
do
the
this.
authorities.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
And as well, Snoop Dogg was photographed smoking a massive blunt,
Shock
Yeah,
again.
shock.
which is going to absolutely
Have you got any other
shock.
non-news?
I mean, his brand must be
amazing.
taking a massive hit
It's like
from that.
when I saw the not the Foo Fighters, the Fun Loving Criminals, and they were just passing around spliffs on the stage
Yeah.
in
And-
rural Northamptonshire.
The point is, like, John was making the point, this was for a largely mixed audience of younger and older people like us, right? But all the way through that now, between 40 and 18, that's part of the culture. We're not offended by drugs, swear words on the telly, grannies dressed up and dancing in dodgy clothing, nothing. 50 Cent singing, none of it. We're not offended
My
by
mum was
it.
offended. by Mary J.
But your
Blige.
mum's older than 40.
Yeah.
So
I saw a perfect tweet, which was around the halftime show, which is everyone over 50 hated it. Everyone between 30 and 50 loved it. Everyone under the age of 30 was like, who the fuck are they?
Well, that's just it. Exactly.
Dr. Dre was epic for someone who's 56.
yeah, I
good
would
was
not
he
know
for
he was
56?
56. Yeah.
No, he was brilliant. But yeah, so Kendrick Lamar was there because it's a show.
I'll tell you what though, Phil Collins would fucking rock that halftime show as well.
Thanks for that.
Jesus
That's your best drumming, is it?
Yeah,
You need to work on that.
I wasn't planning it.
No shit. Fucking
No,
hell.
I mean, literally, we have taken music advice here from a guy who loves Phil Collins and the Fun Loving Criminals. So,
The Fun Loving Criminals are a fucking
That's a
great
good
band.
range of music, though, isn't it? From
I-
one side.
Both
I mean,
of those artists had at least one good song.
it's a range of years from 1981 to 1994. So, once again, it's a league trying to attract new fans. And you're there going, well, here's 56-year-old Dr. Dre, here's a 50-year-old Eminem, a 50-year-old Snoop Dogg. And you're like, you need someone like a Kendrick Lamar because also 20-year-olds watch this product.
You have got to be down with the youth, is what you're saying.
I'm saying, yeah.
And very much like John when he watches his football
Says the
and
man who's
reminisces about
obsessed with wearing
leads from the
snoods.
90s that were good. What? No, nothing.
What? Nothing.
Moving on.
What else we got?
I think that's it. Unless anyone's got any other news.
No, nothing. I've got literally nothing. I'm both disappointed and relieved that it's over. We've made it through a whole year. Again, we managed to watch the Super Bowl together again, which was brilliant. Thank you for hosting, Gary. It was really nice when last year we had to watch it separately, hiding away, and that was absolutely crap and ruined the Super Bowl
That
for
was
me.
the depths of misery last year.
It really was, and I'm delighted that we've made it through, and I'm really disappointed that the season is over, and yet I will be looking forward to a rest from having to rush around and get ready for this every week. But
Hang on.
Well, we are still doing this.
We're still doing
this.
this.
We have
but
some
there
specials
won't be
planned.
16 fucking games to cover or whatever.
Yeah.
There won't be.
I won't be looking for talking points in the Texans-Jags game. You know what I mean? Like, I won't have to worry about whether Urban Meyer hasn't been sacked yet. This is what I'm going for. So, other than that, I'm delighted to
It's
say we've
crazy
made
to
it.
think that it's 7 months before we get football again.
It's 205 days.
But
Not that me and Jim have been looking into this or anything.
we have, of course, the draft coming up.
We do. You can go and listen to some Kendrick
And more
Lamar.
importantly, the podcast draft, which we know holds much more sway.
Literally my favourite episode every year.
Every year. And of course, we've got some specials coming over the next few weeks as...
Oh, we're going to video Paul manscaping himself.
No.
There is nothing special about
That's a
that.
different category
No.
altogether.
But yeah, we're going to cover some topics we wanted to do for a bit, but just we didn't have the chance last off season because it sucked and was via Zoom. But we'll be back next week with our end of season awards and any other news, and
The
then
right time to do the awards is at the end of the season.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But until then, have a good week, and we'll see you then. Bye. Support for today's podcast was brought to you by manscaped.com. Get 20% off the performance package with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com. It's 20% off with the code THESNAP at manscaped.com.